people think about justice, a key aspect of civilization, they often picture the United States. One of the first images that comes to mind regarding justice in America is a police officer arresting a suspect. The officer typically states,
"Remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish."
Although this statement is often said by law enforcement in pop culture, many do not realize that it was one man and a landmark Supreme Court decision that mandated these rights, which protect the rights of the accused be available to all. Ernesto Miranda, the namesake of the warning, was born on March 9, 1941 in Mesa, Arizona, where he would live, get into trouble, and eventually be arrested for rape and kidnapping and tried in Miranda, Arizona. In 8th grade, he was convicted on burglary charges and sent to a reform school. Throughout his short life, he wandered and constantly got into trouble. He was 22 when he was arrested as a suspect in the rape and kidnapping of an 18-year-old woman in Arizona. He was arrested and signed a confession, which at the top had these words written: "This statement has been made voluntarily and of my own free will, with no threats, coercion, or promises of immunity, and with full knowledge of my legal rights, understanding any statement I make can and will be used against me." This, of course, was not true. In actuality, he was subject to 2 hours of interrogation and was never told his rights. Yet he was still convicted and sentenced to 20 to 30 years in prison. His lawyer, Alvin Moore, appealed to the Arizona Supreme Court, but they upheld the decision. Filling out a pauper, he appealed to the United States Supreme Court, led by the justice at the time, Earl Warren. A key factor in the success of Ernesto Miranda's appeal was the Supreme Court's political composition during this period. Many of these justices were liberal Democrats with an extensive view of individual rights. If this court had been more conservative, Miranda's appeal might have failed, and with that failure, these essential rights possibly could have continued to be abused by authorities. Fortunately, this was not the case. Seeing the potential of this case, the justices accepted the appeal and began trialing on February 28, 1966. Accepting this case on the charges of rape and robbery, the prosecution, John J. Flynn, revealed that
I believe that the record indicates that at no time during the interrogation and prior to his confession, his oral confession, was he advised either of his rights to remain silent, of his right to counsel, or of his right to consult with counsel.
Lasting for almost 4 months, trialing ended on June 13, 1966. Chief Justice Earl Warren delivered the decision in favor of Miranda by a narrow margin of 5-4, ordering a retrial for Miranda. In reading the decision, he stated, "A warning at the time of the interrogation is indispensable to ensure the individual knows he is free to exercise the privilege. The warning of this right to remain silent must be accompanied by anything said can and will be used against the individual in court." The rights at the center of the case are from the 5th and 6th Amendments, ratified by the Founding Fathers in 1791. The right to remain silent and the right to access legal representation, such as an attorney, respectively. Before this case, these fundamental rights were often discarded by law enforcement, particularly police officers. With the confessions, the prosecution often relied on these powerful pieces of evidence, and coercive tactics, including physical abuse and deception, were frequently employed to extract non-voluntary confessions. However, the situation shifted in the mid-20th century due to significant civil rights cases like Brown v. Board of Education, Loving v. Virginia, Plessy v. Ferguson, and influential leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Miranda v. Arizona directly relates to the theme of rights and responsibilities, highlighting both suspects' rights and law enforcement's, mainly the police, whose duty is to protect those rights. The case emerged from the police's failure to uphold these protections by abusing power to gain confessions, ultimately leading to a landmark decision that made those essential rights accessible to all. Miranda v. Arizona stands as one of the most pivotal Supreme Court cases of the 20th century, reshaping the criminal justice system in several profound ways. The case immediately caused the release of several suspects, imprisoned and convicted because of admissible confessions. Some people were convicted based on confessions obtained through coercive methods, which now seem as inadmissible. The Miranda ruling established new rules for when confessions were used as evidence, leading to the release of many convicts, which confessions were deemed inadmissible. These changes prompted a re-evaluation of the government's stance on individual rights within the justice system. The case also sparked a wave of reactions, including a strong dissent from Justice Byron White, who opposed the majority's decision. With this case, he believed it would let criminals such as rapists, thieves, and others onto the streets, and stated it was a loss of human dignity. Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, shared this critical opinion. A video procured shows his stance on justice.
And this is the critical point, that if we don't have a change, a new policy by a new Attorney General, and a new attitude toward the enforcement of law and order, new laws and new strengthening of the peace forces in this country, do you realize that if the same trend continues, that crime in the United States will double in the next 4 years by the end of the next term of the next president?
Law enforcement, particularly the police and conservatives, criticized the decision, believing that Miranda v. Arizona would increase crime rates and make police less efficient. However, this was not true, as it pushed police officers to protect suspects' rights while being effective in law enforcement. And ensured that they uphold their responsibility to inform suspects of their Miranda rights before interrogation. Miranda v. Arizona also caused several impacts that still influence society today, such as reforms in police training. The court's ruling requiring law enforcement to inform suspects of their rights heightened awareness of these responsibilities. Before the decision, confessions were heavily relied upon as concrete evidence, often disregarding their validity. Post-ruling, confessions became less vital to prosecutions, prompting police to evolve and improve their methods for gathering other forms of evidence. Another long-term impact is its use in pop culture. After Miranda v. Arizona, the statement became frequently used in law enforcement-themed television shows like SWAT and Blue Bloods. Additionally, it caused 48 cases, which mainly clarified or changed the terms. This is exemplified in Maryland v. Schatzer, Dickerson v. United States, and Smith v. Illinois. Although these cases changed Miranda v. Arizona in subtle but important ways, the warning retains the essential rights necessary to inform suspects. Miranda v. Arizona's impact on the world is deep and far-reaching in several aspects of our society, influencing pop culture, law enforcement, and even the United States. The Miranda v. Arizona decision established the rights of suspects to remain silent and to have an attorney, protecting against self-incrimination. It also outlined the responsibilities of police to inform suspects of these rights before questioning. This landmark case not only reinforced the inherent rights of individuals, but also emerged as a rallying point for the Latino community. It draws attention to the targeting of Latinos in their culture by inspiring several television shows. One example of this is Miranda's Victim, which explores the victims of Miranda's crimes. In addition, Miranda v. Arizona significantly influenced law enforcement practices. By safeguarding the rights of suspects, law enforcement officers cannot exploit individuals who may not fully understand their rights, thereby necessitating the collection of clear evidence. Ultimately, Miranda v. Arizona became a pivotal case for the rights of all U.S. citizens. Previously, even the wealthy could be subjected to coercive confessions. This case established essential rights for every citizen of the United States, irrespective of race, gender, or economic status, letting America truly be known as the land of the free.